talking basketball. They're fucking dumb as shit. They don't know basketball, but they will make dumb ass jokes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pod Don't Lie with Sam and Stav. We are back at it another week. We're getting close to the playoffs. Playoffs start in less than a week.
Best week so far since we've been back, I'd say.
I don't know, that opening. There was, you know what? We've had such great – it feels the most like the NBA. I'll say that. We've gotten the most juicy stories. Basketball, they've started sitting players, so it feels like business as usual again. You know what I mean? Like some games –
But LeBron and AD played last night.
True. Yeah.
They got the one seed. They're still playing.
Well,
give LeBron his credit for that, you know?
I mean, they just look like – I think they needed to. They looked like fucking shit. They can't – and the Jazz are such a shitty defense that's – when your offense is struggling, you want to play against the Jazz.
Nuggets.
I'm sorry. The Nuggets are such a shitty defense that when your offense is struggling, you're like, all right, let me go get some fucking buckets.
They look like adult Bad News Bears with Bol.
Yes.
You're like, what is this?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it does break my heart that Jokic isn't fat anymore. But
it is a bummer.
If they had him and Bol, a fat guy and a big, tall, lanky motherfucker, but.
And Cruz hitting a game winner last night.
Huge. And a great play call. I mean, that was just great coaching. You saw the way that unfolded, and you were like, God damn, that was
Vogel's a good coach. And
Vogel's, yeah.
You know that Cruz was furious because in L.A. he would have gotten so much ass after hitting that shot.
He's
stuck in a bubble.
Dude, after a fucking game winner, that's against the 3 seed, you're getting sucked off left and right.
You know a new Jenner's popping into your DMs.
Yeah, they got one in a lab right now. Yeah. Oh, shouts out to, by the way, Devin Booker for, I don't know if you saw that, getting in Kendall Jenner's, not even DMs. My man, that was the ultimate heat check. He's like, we're undefeated. I just hit. He was like, I already hit one. He hit a 3 from half court, and the net didn't even fucking move yesterday. And he's like, let's take some shots. It's not even going in the DMs. I'm commenting. I want everybody to see. That's ultimate confidence. Yeah. That's shooting. That's like taking the inbound and just shooting a 3 from the inbound from your own goal.
Just red hot. Devin Booker looking out of his mind.
Yes. He says, I like strawberries. And then she comments with a bunch of strawberries. Tell me it's after that is when you get the DM.
It also reminds you how young they are. We were like, this. I don't even understand this flirting. I don't even know what's going on.
That is how a toddler gets a girlfriend. He sees her eating strawberries. She's like, I like strawberries. And then she hands him a strawberry. And then that's your fucking preschool girlfriend where you just hold hands and swing together.
That's how Tommy Pickles from the Rugrats flirts.
Yes, absolutely. That's how you get Angelica. Shouts out to Devin Booker for that ultimate heat check.
Red hot. The Suns are looking, and they're doing it without my man Kelly Oubre. This is the Ewing theory put into
the Ewing theory.
Oubre is just running
Oubre's
around.
Ewing.
He's just playing Pokemon. He's catching Pokemon around Disney, not playing.
Respect.
It's such a bummer. Yes. I want him to be a part of this. I love
the Tsunami Poppy. It is weird that he's not playing and they're that good, but the Suns, the only undefeated team left in the bubble, and they got a big win. It was against the Thunder, and look, they rested a lot of players, but they didn't rest Chris Paul. Paul played, and they kept it tight. I watched that game actually. They kept it tight, but then in just the third and the second half, they just kind of took it. They just weren't giving up.
And you know that Booker is low-key mad that Paul was an all-star over him this year.
Interesting. I don't know, man. I think Chris Paul is a guy that a lot of players, some of his peers probably don't like him because he's annoying, but I think a lot of people respect him. I think
everyone respects him, but I think when you're averaging 25 a game and you're just purely looking at Paul's numbers, you're like, yeah, he's a legend, but I got next. So I think Devin Booker's like, I should have been an all-star. And I think he looks.
I'm sure he thinks he should have been an all-star.
He looks at Ingram.
Ingram's probably, definitely. Probably
Right now, Ingram is, he's a good player, but he doesn't have that dog in him yet that Devin Booker clearly has. Like, Ingram's not taking over down the stretch. He's not demanding the ball enough. If you're that guy, you need to call for the ball a little more.
That's true, but I do have to say, I have to give the Suns credit for the way they smartly have done their season, where it's like, remember in school where you were like, you had an essay to write and you were like, all right, I'm going to hit him with an awesome first paragraph. I'm going to crush it. And then I'm going to fucking hit him with the beautiful conclusion, and everything else is bullshit in the middle. That's exactly what the Suns have done. We were all talking about how good they were going to be. We're like, oh, fucking Monty, you suck. You're sucking their coach off. Devin Booker, MVP. And then they were dog shit. I mean, they were bad in the season, and now they're coming through with that fucking awesome, pulling some nice quotes.
The T-Wolves did the same thing, except they forgot to be good in the end as well. They're like, we'll start well, but then Karl Anthony Towns is just going to trade for his best friend.
Yeah, 100%. So salute to them for doing, and that's what comics do too when we're doing new shit. The shit sandwich. You start out with a great joke, you bomb with your new premises, and then you end with some fire, and that's what the Suns are doing. And salute to them. That's how you fucking win a narrative. People are gonna be talking about the Suns, and people are gonna be trashing the Pelicans because they have looked like shit.
The Suns they're also horrible. Are looking like DeAndre Ayton is looking good. They're just looking fun, and Monty Williams is looking like a good coach. And it's so damn funny that Draymond gets fined for saying, "Get my man out of Phoenix." They're toxic.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've talked about them being a toxic franchise, but Draymond just basically recruiting Devin Booker, which is also weird because you're like, does he even fit the Warriors? You need a small forward.
See,
you're going to bring Devin off the bench?
You know what I think? I think Draymond I don't think that was tampering. Like, he's under contract. Draymond can't do shit. I think it was more just making fun of Phoenix. I think it was Draymond honestly being a good commentator. And I will say this, he was fucking excellent. He was like excellent.
I mean, he's my backdrop right now. I love Draymond. Dude.
Yes.
I think he was nicer too than you expect. Like, he gave more props. The Draymond we think of is the Draymond talking shit to Paul Pierce, yelling, "You ain't Kobe. You don't get no farewell tour."
Well, that's what you expect.
I
can't wait for Draymond. That's going to be the last indignity for Paul Pierce when Draymond retires and he just takes all his jobs on TV because he's so much better. I mean, Draymond was and, you know, I'm a Warriors hater, whatever, but separate, like Draymond's personality, you have to respect the guy. Second round pick, plays tough. It's all about intangibles. It's all about intelligence. I mean, he's like one of the smartest players of all time. He just understands what the fuck to do. And he's a skilled passer because of that high basketball IQ. And what made him
he's a point forward. He can bring the ball up. He can kind of do exactly what the Warriors need him to do.
Well, and he's just like the kind of he fits into. He found a role into like with definitely the least skill of the players on an all-time great team. He's just as important, if not more important, than some of them. And you got to respect the guy. And also, he's funny. He's good. He's charismatic. He was so self-assured. And you see these guys on camera, and it's like vets are scared. Like even Vince, I love Vince Carter. He's still finding his footing. You know, they have him on TNT a little bit. Fucking Draymond was camera ready, bro. He didn't give a fuck.
Vince Carter said tough so many times that if I was doing a drinking game, I'd be dead. I was like, stop saying tough. You're 42.
Right.
This is you've been hanging out with Trae Young too much. You got to hang out with these older cats. You know?
Well, and it's just like and now we've turned into a media criticism podcast for a second, but even like D Wade, who's somebody that's clearly been grooming himself to be good on camera, and fucking married to Gabrielle Union, for Christ's sake.
Sure.
Like he's good, but he's not. There is just a natural, it's like intangible quality, and I gotta admit, Draymond fucking had it. Not only is he saying like he's being very honest and having like real takes, but also he's breaking down X's and O's in a way that was like very instructive. He had something about the Blazers and talking about how they're trapping Nurk, and they have to when teams double Dame high, how you combat that, and how you have to set higher screens. And I was like, I'm fucking learning something he's inside. And like I TNT is incredible. I'm gonna love that show forever.
Yeah.
But you don't get the X's and O's. Charles Barkley will often be like, "Oh yeah, how did they do yesterday?" Like, we'll forget the fucking score and say the wrong team won. It's about charm and it's about hanging out with your boys. But
it was like a podcast before podcast. That's basically what it was. And you're right. It's a hangout. And Draymond got the hang part of it And you could tell that he and Barkley, like I was a little worried about that going in, just because they've exchanged their insults.
But they were great together.
They were great together,
up.
and you could tell they kind of enjoyed each other, which made me enjoy it. And Draymond talking shit, giving props to KD. He was nicer than you expected. He calls KD the best scorer of all time, and it's not close.
And you know what's great about that too? That wasn't even prompted. It wasn't like somebody fucking. He went in. They were talking about. I think it was a conversation about Harden and like how good a scorer he is. And maybe there's a little bit of shots at Harden because I think no one likes.
But he gave Harden props too. He said he's going to get his points no matter what. He basically called Harden unstoppable.
Right, but I think there's a little bit of like, let me make sure that my guy is better than Harden, like of all time. But at the same time, it's not really his guy anymore. They had that they had that falling out. So I think that. I mean, I was like, I thought Draymond was great. I was blown away, actually, because that comment in and of itself shows you, I mean, what's bad about sports media is how bland it is, how it's like some of it can be the continuation of an athlete's post game, like give 110%. Some of these guys just do that as retired guys.
Right.
Draymond fucking went out of his way, said things that are controversial, took a stand, and was funny and was informative, and he was fucking great, man.
I thought Wade was good. I just think like Draymond was just so clearly more for us,
Yeah,
like Wade
true.
shows up like he's doing the runway in Milan, and we're like, all right, dude, we get it, enough with the outfits.
Yeah.
Then I found Wade to be really funny, calling himself an idiot, saying Bam wouldn't be there yet, and then revealing the text. I mean, Wade had great moments,
Absolutely.
It's just Draymond is made for this. Like, he is just made for this, and he is also the type of guy you want to hear it from. You want to hear it from a guy who got drafted in the second round, who's an overachiever, and who's such a high level. Like, dude, if they're healthy this year, he's in the mix for Defensive Player of the Year because he can guard any position. Like, we talk about Gobert.
I don't know about that. I don't know if he's still got those years left in him, honestly. But I think he's
not
still
even 30 yet, man. I think he does. I really do. I think show me a motivated Draymond. Show me what he did in the playoffs last year.
But that's exactly it. And again, he's a player. He said it himself. I don't know if it's his quote, but he's like, there's 82 game players and there's 16 game players. I think Draymond is squarely in the 16 game player phase of his career where he plays himself into shape in the regular season. I think Draymond is never gonna. I mean, maybe I think there's gonna be one revenge year, maybe next year, maybe the year after with the Warriors. But
I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see Steph and Clay. Clay is gonna be so angry.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure if there's even a fucking season next year. Anyway,
and who they're gonna trade for it or if they play Wiggins in the shape, we'll see.
Well, the other thing is. Yes, in theory, but the Warriors ownership group is taking a beating because they self-finance that arena and they're hemorrhaging money. They were going to make a ton of money on live events, that was the idea. You build a brand new, it came at the worst possible time for them. So who knows, man, maybe they'll be cheap. We don't know. Anyway, that's a lot of little tangents for a week where we have a ton of fucking real awesome basketball to talk about. A lot of great games. Obviously there's a lot of beef. There's a lot of, we got to talk about Dame. We got to talk about
Paul George beef and throwing Pat Bev. I mean,
Saturday was jam-packed. Friday was a little slower. The only game of consequence was probably Celtics Raptors. And I got to give it to the Celtics. You know how much I hate complimenting Boston, but they fucking smacked the Raptors.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 122-100, and it was not close. The Celtics led wire to fucking wire. They led by 40 points at one time, like 40.
It wasn't even a fun game.
It was horrible. It was a horrible game.
And I gotta say, I text you. I said, who do you take right now? Jason Tatum, Pascal Siakam, and it's a tough call. But right now, Tatum is 21, 22, and he's got all the tools. That's the crazy thing.
I think we were talking about it, and it's Tatum as much as like Siakam's great. And
he's big and long,
big and long, but he's also older than Tatum. He's 4 years older than Tatum.
So he's like 26, and we're like, he's fucking old, man.
Yeah. And Tatum's just a better shooter. I mean, that's especially 3-point. It's not, it's not
in the half-court game. That's what it is.
And Tatum's not a slouch on defense either.
He's also got a man body at that age. Like, he is going to get more and more jacked.
Yeah.
He had a man body at Duke. It was weird to see a kid in college. Like, this guy, like, is this like a Danny Almonte situation? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, his reverse Samson powers continue after cutting his beautiful curls.
You're right. That's really when it turned on again.
Because he had that horrible game against the Bucks to open. But yeah, I mean, the Raptors to start the third, they got it within 10, and then the Celtics just went on a fucking Tatum actually sparked a run and it went 36-12 to end the quarter. Yeah. I mean, look, the Raptors also shot like shit. Their stars were 3 for 19 from 3, brutal. And it doesn't mean much because, the Celtics
are looking good still.
The Raptors are looking good, and the Celtics have an outside shot at taking – maybe in a regular year would matter because the difference between the 2 and the 3 is home court advantage. There's no home court advantage here. It doesn't fucking matter. They're going to play on the same side of the bracket as each other. This is going to be an Eastern semis matchup.
Those
Everyone
are 2 loud
knows
arenas too. Toronto
yeah, it would have been
Boston.
awesome. It would have made a big difference in the regular season.
Yeah.
And the Celtics haven't would have had an outside shot at catching them, but not going to happen. Doesn't really matter. But it is still a nice win. And then the only other game of consequence Friday was the Grizzlies with a nice gutsy win against the Thunder. Yeah. After losing every game. And, because they're that win keeps them in the chase. And we'll get to
but I hate to give it to you. The Pelicans, who I picked, are mathematically out.
Yeah.
The Blazers, who you picked, now that I've seen a healthy Nurkic and now that I've seen like Melo fitting and the emergence of Gary Trent and just the heart of Dame Time and CJ.
Oh, yeah.
I want Portland in that.
Absolutely. Well,
as a basketball fan.
Yes. And let's talk about the fucking beef now. We might as well.
Because
it's the biggest story.
Okay. Well, I mean, we were both watching that game live, obviously. Yep. Mm-hmm. And you don't expect Dame to miss free throws, especially in crunch. He's just become it's Dame Time. His nickname is basically it's like when Chauncey Billups was called Mr. Big Shot. You don't expect the guy to fuck up.
Right. But you know what also sucks though? I feel like as basketball fans, it's really easy to forget that this shit just happens. Like it still is mathematically a game. You can have off nights. Jordan had plenty of fucking off nights that nobody talks about. They existed, but it did feel particularly weird. So to recap the game,
he's playing 45 minutes certain games.
Right.
And these were his first free throws of the night.
Were
so you're
they?
like, yeah.
He only shot 2 free throws?
That's what the announcer said when he was shooting.
That's wild.
So your first free throws
I didn't realize
night,
that.
And he's been playing so many, so your legs are out. I mean,
sure. And to recap what was going on, so the Clippers are playing the Blazers, and the Blazers are basically winning most of this game. And then and the Clippers want to give the game away. It's clear. They take Kawhi and Paul George out in the final 5 minutes. And then and you know what? Maybe I blame them for taunting the basketball gods. I feel like if this is a fair contest, Dame figures out how to win somehow. But when he's up against Rodney Magruder, who gives a fuck?
Who hits a big-ass shot.
Who hits a 3, by the way, and he's a 27% shooter.
This was not – it was one of those, not meant to happen wins. It was just weird.
Weird and fucked up. And Sam, what you're talking about is with, under a minute to go, to put the Blazers are down 1, and Dame is at the line. And I'm watching, and I'm like, oh, they're up 1. The Clippers have to fucking – they're going to be down 1. And
that's how clutch he is, that you just assume.
Automatic. Yeah. He misses the first one.
But James Harden, who doesn't have the much clutch rep, you assume he's hitting both free throws.
For sure.
And that's not on him.
You know what? You trust Dame more than Harden, I would say, to hit clutch free throws.
But we're just saying in terms of clutch, but in terms of just statistics, Dame's 86% at the line? Yeah, you don't expect him to miss.
He's a career 88.9 89 essentially percent free throw shooter, and the odds of an 89% career free throw shooter missing twice are 1.23%. It was 1.23%. So whatever. Listen, the basketball takeaway from this is tough game. It happens. Mathematically it was weird. Doc Rivers even said these are his quotes. He's a very clutch player. We just caught the one day that he misses, that happens. Tiger Woods misses 5-foot putts. It happens. It's a human game, and you'll take it any way you can get it. Got lucky, right? That's the basketball story. The fucking the gossip story is that it started a fucking Instagram comment feud, and it started with Dame's comments.
No. It started with Pat Bev
True.
laughing his ass off on the sideline,
Right?
Like basically mocking him. That's where Dame's fury, because Dame's, he's mad at himself for missing those shots.
Of course.
But then he's mad at the disrespect, because we've talked about it. Dame shows respect on the court.
For sure.
He doesn't taunt. With his feud with Russell Westbrook fucks with him on the court.
Yes.
And Dame's just cool as a cucumber.
Right. Absolutely. He's got a code. He's got a way. He's got a real mafia style, a code of honor. He'll kill you silently from 3.
Yeah.
So clearly, they're mocking him. And you know what? I gotta say, if you're trying to be a fucking champion, it is a little bush league, because it's like, okay, he missed. Like, again, it's a fucking fluke. You're taunting a fluke. And for all intents and purposes, it is a regular season game. I know they need it, but whatever. You shouldn't go that fucking crazy because you beat him.
He's Tony. Pat Bev is Phil Leotardo.
Yeah. No, Pat Bev is fucking Ralph Cifaretto. Don't give him that much respect. Phil was a tough motherfucker. I'll give him that.
Russ is Phil Leotardo.
Yeah, you're right. Ultimate. Anyway, no spoilers, but anyway, yes. Yeah. So they're mocking him, and then you have Dame's? I had Dame's quotes, but I can't find them here.
I got the quotes. Well, here's where it started. Dame immediately. Here's what he said first. In the interview after the game, he said PG did the wave because he was also surprised because he experienced being waved at last year. Asking me about, that was such a disrespectful wave. But again, it was after the game.
After the game, yep. And it was it was disrespectful, but it was also like a huge nuts moment.
Oh my!
Sent your team home after Russ has been all up in his fucking ear.
It's the coolest ending to a series because. Okay, even the series against the Rockets, which he then mentions, asking me about Pat Beverly. This is 2014 when he hit that just catch and shoot as he's fading to the left. You just see the disappointment in Dwight Howard and James Harden's face.
The man's got 2 walk-off three-pointers. Not a lot of people have that.
It's insane. In the
playoffs. Yeah.
Okay, asking me about Pat Beverly, who I sent
series ending, by the way.
Yeah, who I sent home before at the end of a game. Paul George is the guy sent home by me last year in the playoffs, so they know the reason they're reacting like that is because of what they're expecting from me, which is a sign of respect. And it just shows what I've done at a high clip more times than not. I am not offended by anything. I'm not offended by this. If anything, I should just tell you how much it hurt them. It should just tell you how much it hurt them to go through what I put them through in those situations previously. This is like what a therapist would say.
It was very cold and like dispassionate and like just crushed them.
But this is like what a therapist would say. Well, you hurt them. That's why they're reacting like that.
They're reacting.
This is like a
they've
very
been wounded, Dame.
This is a very thoughtful take by Dame. I mean, this is Damian Freud right here.
And I gotta say, at the way it started, I was like, oh, he's gonna. I was nervous for him because I was like, oh, he's gonna sound like, it's gonna sound whiny, but it didn't. He just owned them.
He's just cold-blooded, and it's like you can tell he's mad at himself. But also, Dame is a better leader than almost anyone in sports. Like it's he has stayed true to Portland. He has encouraged his teammates at all times. Like even when his boys get traded, you see Aminu get traded, you see Myers Leonard get traded. He shows them love. Like he is a classy leader.
And staying in Portland when there's been nothing but rumors swirling. You know how much before how many Lakers shit was going, things were swirling around even before AD. Just so much was going on to get Dame there, get them anywhere. And he's just saying no. And he's getting his other boy, and he wants to play with, CJ. Like he just loves his guys.
Rings are overrated when you're talking about a leader like Dame because he lifts up a whole city. I mean, it's just different, man. Yeah. And what you're saying, this is when it turned into real beef on Instagram. That quote was posted. Paul George comments, Beverly comments first saying Cancun on 3, which is pretty funny. And
I think Paul George commented first.
No, it was Pat Bev first, and George piles on. George followed his comments.
I think it was Pat Bev piling on.
I'm getting this from the website, and my memory says
no, I'm looking at the timestamp, not to be a dick, but I'm looking at the timestamp. Paul George's was 25 minutes. They were just pinned. It's Pat Bev's was pinned on top, but it's important that Paul George starts it because he's the one that clearly is salty. He is like the one who started all this. It wouldn't have been anything if he didn't say shit. but he's the one who has to open his mouth.
He wrote, "And you're getting sent home this year." And
Yeah.
Lillard hit back saying, "Keep switching teams, running from the grind. You boys is chumps." I mean, goddamn. And then Paul George takes it to his Instagram stories, which is like, and it was a total bitch move.
Stop
Where like, you can't. Look, I respect the hell out of Paul George, man. I do. He's a great two-way player. He is elite as hell. But then he starts saying like, "Look, my legacy, blah blah blah." Starts talking about injuries.
Yeah,
like he's had. Which you can't bring up.
You
injuries.
started it.
You started the shit. You guys were laughing at him. So then Dame posts an Instagram picture of him dribbling with the ball from that game, and it just was a Jay-Z quote: "Suckers pray and pray on my downfall, but every time I hit the floor, I bounce up like round ball."
Yeah.
Like Dame is just like rising from the ashes at all times.
And it's crazy because this should be a huge L for Dame Lillard. Like, it is embarrassing. He did fuck up, but Paul George had to run his fucking mouth, and now everyone's like, Dame rules. And he started flaming Skip Bayless. He was calling him a clown. He was like, "You're a bitch. You talk big in public, but on the phone in person, he was like, you're a fucking clown." Awesome.
Well, Dame's
and he did
actions-
bounce back, by the way, Dame. The next game, it was a back-to-back. The next game against the Sixers, 51 points, 16 for 28, 7 assists.
I would
what
not.
the fuck?
And the Sixers did not have Simmons, and they didn't have Embiid for a lot of the game either. But I mean, they're a good defensive team even without those guys. So that is.
It was a back-to-back too, which is kind of wild to do.
The back-to-back, but
And he's been playing 40 minutes a game.
Dame was just fuming, ready to walk out. Like, Dame's going to give you a big game. That's the greatness of Dame Lillard, and that's like, we got some shit when I said I put him in the same conversation as Steph, and so do you. And it's just in terms of ability. Obviously, I think Steph is a great player. That's how good I think Dame
more
is.
accomplished career. It's not even fucking close. MVP season, whatever. But Dame just like, he's and here's the thing. No disrespect to Paul George as a player. Dame is a more accomplished, better player. He just is. Like Paul George was in the East. I know he was up against LeBron, but it's like, those
teams were elite, and they went 7 with LeBron. Remember?
Early on. But
I'm just saying, I'm not going to disrespect Paul George either.
But
I agree with you.
He did leave from Indiana, an easier.
He got
Eastern
traded,
Conference.
but he wanted out.
He wanted out. I mean, he clearly wanted out, and he's right. He switched up twice. Like, he went with Russ, didn't work. Then Kawhi calls him, and it's like, I'm going there. It's
here's why the Russ thing, though, I don't blame him for. Melo was the third guy. It didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense. And here's the other thing. Here's why it doesn't work with Russ. It didn't work with KD and a better team. You think it's going to work with Paul George and a worse team? Right. So I'm with you. He ran, but I think he is a great player. If I'm starting a franchise, I do take Dame.
Yeah, for sure.
Dame's a better leader, and I think overall, just what Dame does on offense is insane. What Paul George does on defense is incredible too. But
and here's so that's the basketball story. That's the guys. But what's awesome is this went to family members. This went to the next level, where Dame's sister takes a screenshot of Paul George's comments, and on her IG she says hating ass whore. She calls him a whore.
Wow.
And then Paul George's girlfriend, the mother of his 2 kids, Daniela Rajic, comments, "Somebody come get this cow," about Dame's sister. Calls her like
Jesus.
And so it gets crazy. And now I have a clip here of Dame's sister's response, and let me just go ahead and play that for you, my friend. Is this coming out? All right, here we go.
Oh, it's coming through, Stavi. Yeah.
I'm finna get up under that nigga pictures and start talking hella shit, because you can't talk. You got a whole stripper pregnant. Then you wife the bitch. Then look at her lips. Look at her face. Come on now, baby boy. Don't, because I'm getting personal with it.
Holy shit. That's Dame's sister?
Dame's sister. And and she's right. To give a little recap, Daniela Rajic.
Oh, the whole family battle rappers?
Yeah.
What the hell? That was incredible.
She flamed her ass. Daniela Rajic, and listen, old faithful Pod Don't Lie listeners might remember this story. She is the stripper that Paul George got pregnant. He offered – this is the love story. This is a very convoluted love story. He offers her $1 million to get an abortion.
Wow.
She says no. Then she sues him, and he countersues and says he'll only pay child support if they take a paternity test. Obviously, it's his kid. Then he sues her
Why was
again.
that not on Jerry Springer too? I want to see high stakes Jerry.
Dude, yeah, exactly. Oh, this is no limit. This is no limit Maury right here. And then he sues her again for custody of the kid. They settle, and somewhere in the settling process, they start dating, and now they have a second kid. This is like the secure the bag all-star right here.
Yeah.
She somehow, and this, by the way, here's another story. Here's another little wrinkle, which is fucking hysterical. I believe Paul George was dating Callie Rivers at the time, who is the daughter of his current coach.
Man, it's sticky. It's a sticky situation. You never see that love story. Get an abortion. No. And then they just end up together.
Yeah.
Where's that rom-com?
I mean, that has to be MVP
And
level.
we're going to have to get to it at some point.
That has to be Hakeem
son.
level head right there, like Pantheon level, like dick sucking abilities on Mrs. Roderick's.
We at some point are gonna have to talk in this episode about Doc's son, Kendall Roy, or as I call him, Austin Rivers.
Yes.
Dropping.
He had a huge game, yeah.
Dropping 43
on the Kings. On the Kings, though. Let's not.
On the Kings, but dude, he was
Sure.
locked in. Hey, give him his props, man.
I'll give him his props. Absolutely, I have no problem with that. But yes, hysterical fucking story. Shouts out to Dame Lillard, and shouts out to his sister. Let me see. Do I have her name here? I want to give her credit.
Dame is securing his legacy.
Shouts out to Lene Lillard for flaming Daniela Rodgers.
We call her Lene Dalla. That's her rap name. But he is securing his legacy as a Portland folk hero and as just an NBA icon. He is an icon at this point.
Absolutely.
He is as cool as it gets. He is as lovable as it gets. And dude, franchises would kill for that leadership.
And I'll say that
the way he has his boys back, the way he supports his teammates no matter what, that rubs off that type of leadership.
And here's the thing about the way their team was constructed, right? And I think even the Portland I think they'll even admit they might have made a mistake not keeping some of those swing guys. But with Nurkic, it makes so much more sense. With Nurkic, you're like, oh, this is a fucking this could be a 3. This could be even a 3 seed if everything's clicking.
Think about all the players they lost over the year too. I mean, young Dame is playing with having a career year. Wes Matthews, who they let go. Wes Matthews, much older now, coming off some serious injuries. Nicholas Batum, who the Bobcats what was this, 6-7 years ago? They paid
the Bobcats made the Batum.
That's a bad
family
deal now.
Gave them generational wealth. Yeah. Nicholas Batum's great-grandchildren won't have to work off of that. Thank you, Mr. Jordan.
Chandler Parsons looked at that contract like, that's a bad deal right there. That's not good. No, I mean, so they've dodged a couple bullets. They also let LaMarcus Aldridge go, who would have been a nice.
He didn't seem like he wanted to play.
He wanted to play with Pop.
He just didn't. I just don't think. I don't know. I think they had a weird relationship, him and Dame. But
yeah,
they fucked up too. They had the year that season. Everybody was getting money. They paid Evan Turner and I believe Alan Crabb wild money.
Right.
They fucked up for sure. But when you see this team with Nurkic, you're like, oh yeah, get him who knows what they can do. And the way they developed,
and they signed him to a good deal. His money is.
Nurkic's going to be around. They clearly like playing together. Gary Trent Jr. seems to be at least a good rotation piece. He's probably not going to keep playing this at this level, but he definitely has a place. And then
he got a bubble bump right there. He
definitely did.
Lights out.
If they can get a couple wings that can defend.
Right.
This team is right there.
We've talked about it, but Aminu on defense was so good for that.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't a great.
They just got tired of him being mucking up the offense, I think. But in hindsight, I think they take that right now. No disrespect to Carmelo, but I think they would rather have.
I've been watching some of these games. I've been shocked at how hard Melo's played on D.
He's playing hard as shit, dude. He is. Give him credit.
But I'll say this too: Melo always played better D when he played with a good defensive-minded point guard. Like when he played with Billups, not even great defender, but a good team defender. And Billups was such a leader. I think when someone holds him accountable. Jason Kidd held Melo accountable.
I think it's a good situation
guy.
for him, for sure.
Yeah.
And I also think – I don't even think it's another guy at this point. I think Melo's just like – Melo was dead, dude. It's like Melo's career was over. I think he's like – he looked at the abyss and he was like, I'm not ready. You know what I mean? And he was like, I am going to stick in the fucking league no matter what it takes. And I think this is like – I hope he – I don't know. I hope he gets another year. He's still – you know, he's got
moved
plenty
into
of
the 15th scoring spot.
Exactly.
And you know he was smoking some cushy dreams when that shit
Absolutely,
happened.
brother.
That's what that does to you. It makes you just believe.
I heard I have it on good authority that Carmelo Anthony kicked back, smoked two back-to-back pre-rolls of energy and hustle. Actually 3, and then finished the night off with a Dreams blend from Cushy Dreams.
Don't forget that Create. That's how he's scoring in the post.
Well, that's what he smokes Create right before he starts What's in Your Glass, right before he goes live with his YouTube show, What's in Your Glass. That's what gets him in the right headspace to have a deep and honest conversation.
Yeah.
But yes, like Carmelo Anthony, we here at Pod Delar are huge fans of Cushy Dreams. Dreams,
it is really good.
Dude, here's where I fucked up. And on a game we're going to talk about next, the Bucks and Mavs game, I didn't smoke Cushy Dreams. If I smoked Cushy, I might have smoked some regular ass bullshit marijuana that put me right to bed. I slept through that whole game. I had to wake up watching Giannis lose in overtime because I was a fucking dope head. But if I had just smoked a nice little either pre-roll or a little of the flour I like the flour, throw it in a bong sometimes, throw in a little spliff. I would have been up. I would have been alert. I would have been watching Giannis have a good statistical game, but get his ass worked by Luka Doncic having a fucking 30, a triple-double with 19 assists and fucking whatever.
This is what's going to make Luka at some point the best player in the NBA. And it's not just that he can pass it from anywhere, he can shoot it from anywhere. He is creative off the dribble, getting to the hoop. And you need that, like, no knock on Giannis, but, like, you need that half-court game in the fourth quarter to close things out. And they're just giving him that 3. They're just giving it to him.
We need I think I read you loud and clear. We need Giannis to start smoking some hustle in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely.
Some fucking high-quality CBD from Cushy Dreams. And this shit is beautiful. It looks like high-quality marijuana, feels like it, tastes like it. You know what I'm saying? Dweeds. I'm out here. I'm loving it, dude. As a guy who's trying to cut back on weed, Cushy Dreams has been a fucking beautiful revelation for me. You get the fucking benefits of CBD without getting your ass stoned as fuck. And it
gets me like very chill.
You get a nice little buzz, baby. I'm perfect. I'm zoned out and zoned in at the same time. My third eye is fucking open and it's looking at a big pair of titties. That's what it feels like when you smoke Cushy Dreams. Your third eye's open and it's looking at like some fucking goddess, some Indian goddess with fucking 8 pairs of titties. You know.
I'm looking, by the way,
it's artisanal.
I'm looking at, speaking of, we're talking about Melo. Speaking of this, dude, the people he passed, I mean, he's the only active player other than LeBron in the top 15 right now. But like the people he passed Paul Pierce. I mean, these are like big people. I mean, dude, Iverson's 25, who's a great, one of the best scorers ever.
Iverson, had his career cut short, of course.
Of course. But Melo in some ways did too, man.
But that's what I mean. I think
he lost a year.
I think Melo have realized he was about to go down the Iverson route, where it's like you didn't squeeze you didn't get everything you didn't wring out your fucking career as well as you could have.
Iverson also, it's harder to have longevity when you're that small, right? Yeah. Melo has a great NBA body, and they're calling him Skinny Melo now. For sure.
He does look great, and you know, no matter where you are, you know, if you're be like Melo, who knows what Allen Iverson could have done if he had some high quality CBD to smoke after
helps,
games.
Man. I'll tell you, I took a city bike down to the Comedy Cellar, and I don't know how to ride a bike. I wiped out a couple of times. I smoked some Cushy Dreams. It really does help.
It really does. Yes.
I fucking wiped out, dude, on a bike.
You did?
Twice. Well, it turns into one lane at one point, and it's like too narrow. I'm not a fucking biker, dude.
Yeah. It can be dangerous, my brother.
It can be dangerous, and people whiz by you. This guy whizzes by me, wipes me out, doesn't even takes a look to see me get wiped out and just keeps
Yes.
going. I'm like, that's a fucking hit and run, dude.
That's a fucked
hidden
up guy right there.
That's a bad dude. And then I
That's
got wiped out on the way back up too. And I mean, look at this shit. I'm fucking
Damn, dude.
I got some bruises all over me.
Thank God you had some high quality, independent lab tested, slow cured, fucking high quality CBD from Cushy Dreams. And listen, if you want to be like me, Sam, like Carmelo Anthony, we have it on good authority, and you want to smoke some Cushy Dreams, go to cushydreams.com, KUSHY dreams.com, and at checkout use promo code PODDON'T, PODDONT, for 15% off your first order. Smoke your CBD.
It is really good.
Because you can.
It's also like it is good stuff, man. I got to
That's right. That's right. So get in there. The world's best CBD with the world's most questionable tagline. Smoke your CBD because you can. Something you can say about anything.
Draymond said, get Devin Booker out of Phoenix.
Yes.
And into a good Cushy Dreams and Pod Don't Lie is Devin Booker in Los Angeles.
That's right.
It's a great
Absolutely.
situation.
It's a beautiful partnership where everyone will get more pussy with it. So check out Cushy Dreams. And yes, like I said, if I had only smoked Cushy Dreams instead of taking a bit of an edible that I found and smoked a bowl that my roommate had left because I don't want it to go to waste, I would not have fallen asleep through the Bucks Mavs game, which, you know, as a Giannis fan it was a good game. It was a good game to watch.
And Brook Lopez had moments where you're like, this dude, when he gets hot, he's just so much bigger than KP. So there's a couple of times he took him off the dribble and just bodied him. His three,
which you shouldn't be able to do. Honestly, that's getting taken off the dribble by him that's kind of a failure on KP's part. But he was shooting hot. He was shooting hot. He had a great performance.
Well, that's my point. You got to respect it when he's shooting like that.
Right.
And KP, by the way, the Mavs had like 4 plays in the ESPN top 10 that night. Yeah. Because KP had 2 dunks. One of them was a one-handed alley-oop. The other one was that like little feed from Luka that he just threw down angry. And you're like, ooh. Yeah.
It sucks how much they're clicking, man. It really is fucking. Yeah. It just every day gets more painful as a fucking. Oh, I'm
broken.
Fan.
I need that Cushy Dreams because I'm sad.
Yeah, dude, it's a big clutch win for the Mavs, which, you know, to give them credit, has been their downfall. They have not been clutch, specifically Luka. I mean, he kind of falls off a little bit of a cliff at the end of the games. But they come back in the third, and it's tough when you're a Bucks fan because they were leading, and like you said, Lopez is having a great night. You don't want to waste, if you're Giannis, if you're the Bucks, you don't want to waste a night from one of your role players like that. When somebody catches fire like that, because it's not like they had bad games. Yeah. You know, Giannis had a good game, 34, 13, and 5 blocks. I mean, what the fuck? That's a great fucking line. Middleton was very efficient, and, you know, Lopez, like we said, was fucking shooting out of his mind. And it was just clutch. I mean, it was what we've been worried about, what I'm worried about fucking the Mavs, the Bucks. It's that half-court offense when the game slows down a little bit. You know, they go from they were up at the end minutes of the fourth, and the Mavs essentially go on a run that doesn't stop until overtime, where it's a 16-0 run and started late in the fourth quarter and goes through overtime. The fourth
quarter was just it was beautiful. I mean, it was just Luka. It was beautiful. Luka just kind of made every right decision.
Yeah.
And I mean that pass, I don't know if that pass was in overtime, was it? I think it was.
But between the legs?
Yeah.
That was a great pass, but I got to say, James Harden does that every 3 weeks. They sucked off Luka for something I've seen Harden do all the time. It was good. It was clutch.
Because Luka is still in the romance period, and we expect it from Harden.
Right.
Harden is in the thankless position of the guy who is, 30 now and hasn't won a ring. So that's kind of what people are giving Harden. Even though Harden, I've said it before, we take his greatness for such granted.
Hugely for granted. He is going to be a guy that, people look back on and they're like, what the fuck? He puts otherworldly.
We were mad he took step back threes and hit them. That's what we're mad about.
The way everyone plays, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
I don't like the hate that Harden gets because I think he's special, obviously, and I'm a huge fan. But Luka is still he's 21. He's in the romance period. People are gonna give him love for shit that Harden does every day.
True.
But that being said, Luka had an insane game.
Insane game. I mean, 36, 14 rebounds, 19 assists. Insanity.
36 and 19. You know who had those numbers? Walt Frazier when the Knicks fucking won it all in the finals. Those are Walt Frazier numbers, baby.
Big respect for that one, Sam. I love that you had to go that. Yes.
I had to bring it back to one happy
who was President?
moment.
Nixon? We had to go back.
I have to go back to Watergate to fucking find a happy Knicks memory.
But I love how you shoehorned it. I love how you shoehorned it the fuck in there. So yeah, that was
a big year that year. Walt Frazier and Woodward. That's who.
Yes, when he was just a young up and coming journalist. So again, salute to the Mavs for that one, and I have to also salute to the Mavs for they beat the Jazz their next game with no Luka, no Porzingis. And that's a big win because it keeps them alive for potentially the 6th seed against the Jazz. The Jazz, it seems like, have been kind of fucking tanking to avoid the Rockets. That's what it seems like to me. I don't think the Jazz.
Who do they get if they don't? Who do they get if they don't play the Rockets?
They get the Nuggets.
I mean, that's a better matchup. Obviously,
that's a better matchup.
People don't want to play. I mean, it feels like the Jazz have kind of just not been able to overcome Harden in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just especially now that they straight up don't play a center. You pretty much neutralize Gobert if he's just out there on the fucking corner, shadowing Robert Covington. They
found a way to neutralize big men.
But I will say.
Oh man! By the way, that Nuggets Jazz game, where Jokic and Donovan Mitchell just put on a
great game.
Just two incredible performances.
We've had some great basketball, man.
Donovan Mitchell, some of those shots he hit were just absurd.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a fucking great game. I mean, Saturday was a fucking beautiful, beautiful day of basketball. You starting with like the Dame stuff. You had the fucking Nuggets game, and but yeah. Not as good Sunday or yesterday, really. The big game yesterday, we talked about a little bit up top with the Lakers playing everybody. And I think you had to do that. I think you had to do that just to get some kind of rhythm.
Absolutely. And right now the question is what their second unit can do, because it doesn't look incredible.
Yeah, and everyone was sucking off that second unit for being the Clippers that was super shorthanded. And that is who won that game. But since then, they have not looked great, man.
And the Clippers really have never been at full strength, which we've talked about.
Yeah. And at some point, you have to wonder, like, all right, will it ever happen? I don't know, man. I'm rooting against the Clippers fucking hard.
What were you looking? You were never really on board.
I'm not a Clippers guy. I'm not really on board with. I don't know.
I have a lot of love for Pat Bev, even though I just think what he's overcome to make the league and to stay in the league, being a defense first guy and just his toughness.
It's just an annoying team. It's just annoying. Like even Noah's annoying. Even like it's a good story,
Noah.
But he's annoying.
I don't know about that. I disagree. He's a New York guy. I love
Kawhi. Like Kawhi is good, but it's like what I'll say about the Clippers. It's like, and it's not that I'm even necessarily like a conservative basketball fan in terms of like, oh, I want we got to keep the teams like whatever. But they've taken it to a next level of like they have like if the Clippers win, then all the arguments from like old heads that are like, regular season doesn't even matter. These guys keep switching teams. They are the most turned up version of like everything that's wrong in quotation marks with modern basketball, where it's like this is a team in a fucking petri dish. Like it's a lab invented team. There's no real chemistry. They sit out time. I mean, they haven't really played their starters haven't even played more than like 7 games together. You know what I mean? It's like,
for all the hate LeBron gets, the guy plays literally every game.
He plays every game, and
Kawhi he's brought load management to a lot of purists don't care for.
Right, and the Lakers feel like a team. Whatever you want to say about, I know LeBron, he's been a mercenary, whatever. But it's like at least he crafts a team wherever he goes. At least he tries to.
That's also because he's a much more elite passer than anyone the Clippers have, and that is part of what makes it feel like a team, I think.
Yeah, I just mean exactly. The Clippers just don't feel like a team. They feel like, and especially because they sort of wrecked a kind of fun team. I like that old Clippers team before Kawhi and Paul George. And I know you have to do it.
Because they felt like the Thunder. That's why we liked them. They were like a battered up team.
Exactly.
Gilgeous Alexander and Gallo. Just
totally. You're right.
And
But anyway,
Tobias Harris playing at his absolute best before getting traded to the Sixers and having now one of the worst contracts in the NBA.
Tough contract. I mean, not worse than his fucking teammate Al Horford. I'll tell you that much.
Those are two bad contracts.
I think Tobias can. I don't know. He can still be useful, and he's younger. And I think at least Tobias has like more years. But yes, all the contracts that were like iffy, money wise. Now that we've had the fucking pandemic and all this China shit, and that like money is going to start getting tighter. I mean, Horford's contract is going to look even fucking worse when the cap goes down, which is going to go down.
You're right. Well, you know what's hilarious? You're talking about Kawhi. Did you see January Jones from Mad Men posted up multiple Instagram stories with pictures of Kawhi looking very handsome and she's future boyfriend ? And people had to start commenting, he's married or he's taken. He's been with the same woman for years.
Right. Kawhi doesn't even seem like that much of a side pussy type guy, but who knows? Yeah,
you're right. He's like I wear New Balances. I'm not fucking on the side. I'm not.
He's like, I'm sorry. Contractually, New Balance doesn't allow me to get pussy. I'm signed to deal with New Balance.
Couldn't you also just see Kawhi being like, he's like, oh yeah, Mad Men's the only show I watch. Like I feel like Kawhi watches like slow dramas.
Yeah, I can see January Jones coming over to his hotel room. Kawhi's just wordlessly playing like an RPG on PlayStation 2, and he's just like focused in. And then once he loses, they just have sex real quick, and then he's like, "Thank you," and then he's like,
a best of John Cheever short stories folded on the side next to him.
Yeah, then he just fucking gets in bed and reads while she's sitting there. That's the way he probably cheats, but that's the way he probably. That's how I can see it.
It's good to Betty Draper. It's such a sad end. No spoilers, but but to see her reach out to Kawhi definitely made me happy.
Yeah, I mean,
it's funny. She was with Don. We're talking about Don Draper, the least faithful man ever. Let's go after an NBA player. That'll make it. That'll work things out.
Life imitates art, baby.
And then the other big story we got to touch on at least briefly. Kevin Durant.
Yes, give me the details of this. I saw it briefly.
It's such a weird story, dude.
It's weird, right? Like what
So there's two lesbians, right? One of them has a basketball podcast. So this is what I gathered from it. She just trashed Durant for a long time on the podcast, calling him a hoe, not liking his style of play. Durant follows her girlfriend on Instagram and likes every single photo. Like,
I didn't realize there was a backstory. I didn't realize it was somebody that trashed him on a podcast.
I mean, we could be in trouble, dude. I just want to put it out there. KD, I think you're the fucking greatest. You're the best scorer ever, baby. No, I mean, dude, it is weird. And this also is not like Kevin. This is like De Niro in Cape Fear.
Yes.
If he had Instagram, this is not like what you expect from Kevin Durant, even though he's got. So then she tweets at Garnett, "Why are you such a weirdo?"
Yeah, that's weird.
You're too wealthy for this. Sorry, my internet's messing up. Why are you such a weirdo? You're too wealthy for this. You really went and followed my girl? That's why she blocked you, weirdo, at KD Trey 5. Durant responds, "My bad. I accidentally pressed follow and liked our pics. My phone tripping."
Oh, my God. You know what I'll say? What's weird? First of all, I didn't realize this was revenge. I thought all I saw was the fucking tweets. I didn't realize it was a lesbian. First of all, that's also weird. That's another weird element of it. I thought KD was trying to fuck like some random guy's girlfriend.
No,
and like I didn't read.
That's so weird. See, that would make more sense in the revenge.
Would make more sense. It's like I'm an NBA player. I'm picking some random girl who's got some fucking loser boyfriend. I'm going to like her pics. That's enough of a shot. I'm a fucking millionaire. I'm famous.
Yeah.
I'll like these pics. If she's a hoe, maybe she'll DM me, right?
Even the boyfriend's probably like, I got a fucking Nets jersey. You get it autographed and come back, you know?
But
I mean,
this is
shit.
like, first of all, there's no game involved. It's like trying to seduce an enemy's girlfriend is like, okay, fine, I guess that's like if you. But this is like, you're not gonna. What's she gonna be like? Because you're some fucking weird. This is weirdo. This is reply guy internet behavior. This is some guy that watches anime and is mad. So these are some guys I might have some fucking personal experience with. Guys that are mad that their favorite podcast hosts are fatter than them but get more pussy than them and might harass them on different platforms. That's this guy. This is Reddit behavior on KD's part.
It's weird, and it's, you know what it is also? It's competitor behavior who doesn't get to compete. This guy is used to dropping 35 this time of year, or at least not this time of year, but in the playoffs, right?
Right.
So he's used to just fucking dudes up. He's got no outlet. Now he's going after the naysayers who are just civilians. But these aren't basketball players.
But this was tough because it's like he's used to dropping 35. This is you go 2 for fucking 22. This is like going 2 for 21. Fucking 4 turnovers, embarrassing yourself. Like this is embarrassing. This is like I didn't realize it was somebody that talked shit about him. That's mortifying.
He's so weird with social media. Like as cool as he is on the court, he's just not. He doesn't have a good sense of awareness on social media. I think he thinks it's being funny, and it is kind of funny, but not for the right reasons, right?
Like, look, I'm saying it's weirdo behavior, right?
Yeah.
But it's like he didn't even do a good job of trying to fuck an enemy's girlfriend. He did it in the most fucking like he didn't even try. He didn't try and seduce. He did like you're fucking rich. Buy her like a fucking watch. Be like you're beautiful. Like do something that's like weird.
That would be a funnier way. I mean, that's how Lance Armstrong opened his documentary, right? The people in the cafe are like, "You fucking cheater, you suck," and he goes, "Oh yeah," and then he calls the restaurant and says, "Their tab, it's on me." Like that's kind of a cool way to handle a hater.
Yeah,
because they're just like, I don't know how to feel. He just
pay off your enemy's student loans, KD. then every time she fucking makes a financially wise decision from now on, she has to be like, KD made this possible. And then when she buys a house, she's like, my credit's improved because of KD.
I don't like that he switches teams all the times, but you know, we're homeowners. And
I could have never gotten this interest rate without KD's help. Co-sign a fucking loan.
Yeah, you know,
it was weird, just, man. I didn't realize that. Weird. I don't like that.
He seems like a weird guy. He is undeniably one of the greats of our time. And look, when I'm watching him, I'm like, shit, I'm lucky to watch someone this great. But his behavior off the court is just a little odd. It reeks of insecurity.
Very much so.
And it's weird because it's like you think he goes to Golden State and gets those rings, and he's a little more secure. He's the MVP on both.
It's done the opposite, though, because
he
thought people were going to treat him as the best player in the world. But the narrative of like, yeah, you beat LeBron, but with the team that he had to, do the greatest comeback ever without you. Like
it's a great point. And it's like people were saying, I saw one tweet. They said, you want to talk about LeBron's greatness. Look what Golden State had to build to beat him. I forgot who said that, but the truth is he may never be the best in the world, which is so fucked up, right? Because it might just go LeBron to Giannis.
I think you could argue that KD was better than LeBron when you can make the argument that he was better during those championship seasons, but it's not undisputed. You know what I mean? Like KD will never be the undisputed best ever, unless he comes back next year and just like has an MVP season. You know what I mean?
It's tough because what he has over Giannis, we've talked about it to death, but I mean that fourth quarter game when he can just pull up from anywhere, like KD when he's locked in.
Yeah, when KD's locked in, he's sort of the inverted Giannis when it's like his defense is really fucking good. I mean, there was that year in Golden State where he was basically playing center and blocking shots when it mattered.
Getting steals. And dude.
And then his offense is the best in the world, which is kind of like the opposite of Giannis.
He is Dirk with handles.
Yeah, for sure.
It is ridiculous that Dirk exists with handles and athleticism. And people talk about his toughness, but he will take it to the fucking rack.
Absolutely. No, of course. I mean, there's no disputing, like we said, he's the fucking, like Draymond said, arguably the greatest scorer ever. I
don't think Draymond said arguably. I said it's not. He said it's not even close.
I know. Well, okay, so Draymond said he's the greatest ever. I think you can argue it for sure. He's definitely in the mix of greatest scorers of all time.
He's got more weapons than a lot of the greats. Like, but then look, but it becomes
more versatile game than MJ. But it's like you at some point you just have to be like, God damn, MJ was averaging almost 40 points as a guard while people were fucking hand checking him. And you can say, what about Wilt? What about these other guys that are just scored? But it's like, I don't know.
But they talk about MJ not having the 3-point shot, and you're like, you think he wouldn't have developed it if that's what the game was? You know what I mean? Like, same with Kobe. I mean, Kobe, I think they just would, if it was all about threes, I think they would have been more automatic from three.
For sure. I think it's just a different game.
Yeah.
The point is, if they're coming up today, those guys have, they're shooting at over 35% easily from three. They're shooting like 38, 37 at least, maybe 40% shooters. Anyway, let's finish up the episode here. Let's talk about the race for the 8th because it is fucking heating up. That win
let's give props to those Phoenix Suns right now.
Yeah, let's get
6-0.
Definitely. Although it is so here's who they have left. The Blazers have the Mavs today at 6:30 and the Nets Thursday. The Spurs have the Rockets and Jazz. The Suns have the Sixers and Mavs. Now, the Mavs, because they beat the Jazz, it actually makes it interesting because both the Jazz and the Mavs now have to play for something because they have to play to get to the sixth. The Mavs, if they win both their games and the Jazz lose, I think they could be the fucking 6th seed. So they have to play, and that's important because they play the Blazers and the Suns. So the
Mavs are right now slated to play the Clippers in the first
yes,
round, right?
But because they beat the Jazz with their backups in a comeback win, which, by the way, Hardaway Jr. led that, which is so brutal to watch. Every piece of that trade is working. Even here's
what happens when you have a superstar, which Luka is, and you have good pieces and players playing confidently, it sways them. I know
why it's working, but I'm just saying it's tough that even the guys that you throw in to make the contracts work are doing it for the Mavs.
But my point is you can't overpay a guy in New York. It just and unfortunately that's the way we're set up right now. Right. So it's like
it's the only place. He would have never gotten that from a good team. You know what I mean? They're like, we'll make somebody give you your number. We don't.
So who could the Mavs play?
Okay,
otherwise?
So here.
Because I don't want to see Mavs Clips round 1. I want to see them both in the second round.
Well, I think it'll probably end up that way. I don't think the Jazz are going to drop their last game to the Spurs, but it's a matter of playing the Nuggets instead of the I believe the Nuggets. Nuggets the 3 seed. So the 6 seed would play the 4 seed, which is
6 3 seed. 6 and 3, not 6 and 3.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it goes Lakers 8 seed. Clippers,
Blazers, though. You know what's happening.
Clippers,
Mavs.
Clippers, Mavs right now, and then Nuggets. Yeah, Nuggets, you're right. Jazz. Yeah, so it's Nuggets.
I'd rather see Nuggets, Mavs.
Yeah, for sure. But the Jazz want it to be. The Jazz would rather it play the fucking Nuggets. So anyway, the Suns can make the play-in if either Memphis loses twice or Portland loses once. They'll be the A seed in the play-in if all those things happen. Memphis can make the play-in with either a win or losses by both Phoenix and San Antonio, or with 2 losses by Portland and 1 by either Portland or Phoenix.
Wow.
Memphis clinches the 8th seed with 2 wins or a win and a Portland loss. They're the 8th seed if Portland loses twice and Phoenix and San Antonio both lose at least once.
This is exciting.
It's crazy. Yeah, every game matters for this race.
But everyone wants Portland to get this except the Clippers.
Totally.
And the Lakers.
San Antonio needs Phoenix and Portland to lose at least once while they win their final 2 games against Houston and Utah.
Yeah.
And they can also make the play-in if they win twice, Memphis loses twice, and one of Phoenix or Portland loses once, which is crazy. If the Spurs split, they can't get in. And the Blazers are in the play-in if they win twice. Blazers control their own destiny. They're in the playoff. Yeah. If they win twice and Memphis loses at least once, they're the 8th seed. So basically, and like I said, the Blazers have the Mavs, but again, the Mavs are playing for something. So today at 6:30 is a big game. Mavs Blazers, they're both playing for something. Mavs want to avoid the Clippers, and the Blazers are playing to get the 8th seed. And then the Nets they should beat, right? The Nets they
Dame
should
or
beat.
Luka right now? Who do you take for this year only? I'm not saying for like longevity. Obviously, take a Luka longevity.
Oh,
but
interesting. I mean, right now in this instant, I take Dame.
you got to.
Yeah, he's playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
And you know, Luka's young as shit, and he's been a little shaky in crunch time. The Bucks game notwithstanding.
But he's looking incredible.
Absolutely. And then the
future
Spurs
is going to be bright in the NBA,
for sure. The Spurs have the Rockets and the Jazz, so that's a tough. I mean, again, the Jazz are playing for something. I don't see the Spurs making it.
And
then
the
the
Rockets
Suns
will play the Jazz in the first round, or the Nuggets, you said rather. Who do the Rockets have in the first round then?
Let me look at the standings. I'm blanking on it right now. It is the Rockets play the Thunder right now, as is.
That's what you. I mean, dude, that's a tough matchup for the Rockets. That's like the one matchup for the Rockets, other than the obvious, like, I mean, other than the Lakers or Clippers.
I think the Rockets beat them.
I think they do too, but I'm thinking like, I mean, Chris Paul is gonna come with a chip.
Yeah.
I think the Rockets win too, but I think the Thunder make it tough. I mean, Steven Adams, Gallo, like these guys they're going to be ready.
I mean, it'll be interesting. I think the Rockets ultimately take it. I think the Jazz want to avoid the Rockets. I think because of that loss, they can't go up to 5 unless the Thunder lose too. It's all I mean, all this shit could change, man. That's what's crazy about it.
Well, the thing about like all these teams, like Donovan Mitchell is just a crunch time killer.
Oh yeah.
The shit
he is, but he's also inconsistent. Like I don't believe in Donovan Mitchell like
as the guy
on this team. There's just not enough help, man. Like he can have a couple big games in a 7-game series, but you know, he's young as shit, and it's like
I know, but my only thing I'm saying
he's never been efficient. He's never been, even in his big games, he's not an efficient scorer.
But I'm just saying he hits so many hard, difficult
he's
clutch shots against
the eye test. Don't get me wrong. It's like, yeah, you look at him and you're like, but I think because of how depleted that team is, they're the ones. Everyone wants to play the Jazz. Everybody wants to play the
Conley's looking a little better, but no Bogdanovich. I mean, they're very thin.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we're in for
the Jazz might be the worst team in the West in the playoffs.
I would say so. I think
Isn't that crazy.
I would rather play the Thunder. I mean, I wouldn't play the Thunder, and
I don't want to. I take the Jazz over the Blazers right now.
Yeah, me too, for sure. In a 7-game series, especially, because again, who is their scorer? Who is the guy you have to worry about? It's not Mitchell. It's Mitchell, but
it's not enough scoring though. It's just not enough scoring. Like with the Blazers, you got CJ who could have a big game. You got Dame, obviously. You've got.
Exactly.
You got Gary Trent's been shooting the lights out. You got Melo, who, like, look, he's inconsistent, but he is a bucket, you know? Nurkic has been killing them on offense. I just think
more guys you have to worry about. More guys you have to worry about. And the Suns, who are undefeated, to run the table, they would have to beat the Sixers, which I think is possible. But
no Embiid or Simmons?
Well,
is Embiid playing?
We don't know yet. There's optimism that he might play. And and then the Mavs again, who are playing for something. So
I loved what Draymond said about Embiid taking jump shots. He said like he's the best center in the league. We love when he takes jumpers. Right. Like it's so interesting to hear commentary about these offensive juggernauts from an elite current defensive player.
Right. From people actually playing. Like we can sit here and we can talk about analytics. We can talk about opening up the floor, but guys don't want to guard Embiid in the blow block. That's what it really comes down to. And that extends, I think, to Simmons. It's like they really have fucked up, I think, and they just need to make those guys the front court and make everybody else shoot. Fucking Elton Brand has fucked this team up. There's no way around it, man. Like, fucked it up.
Yeah, and the good news is there's rumors about the Knicks trying to get him. I was like, yeah, let's get him in our front office. He's like, we've got a 5th power forward.
Yeah, yeah. They trade. Yeah, I'm coming back, baby. Yeah, I mean, tough, very tough what the Sixers are looking at, and I don't know, man. And more injuries. I feel bad for those guys because it really should have been that money should have gone towards fucking guards. It should have gone towards wings and.
Yeah, and even the guy, what's his name? The guy they got from Miami, this 2 guard.
Oh yeah, Richardson.
he just kind of doesn't fit. They needed a shooter at that position. Weirdly, Redick made so much more sense.
Yeah,
even though he's not a great defensive
I mean,
player.
I think what he was going for, what the GM was going for, was to make it a fucking defensive juggernaut, but it's just not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's just straight up not. They're not that good.
It's weird. Individually, they're great defensive players. I know Horford's old, but he's been good at that. Embiid is an elite defensive player when
Embiid and Simmons are all first team all defense when
Simmons
they're healthy.
is in the conversation for defensive player of the year. He's not going to get it, but he's in the conversation.
Yeah, he's first team for sure. First team all defense.
Can we just give a quick shout out to Marcus Smart, who never gets on these teams?
He's not. He hasn't
been first team all NBA, has he?
You mean defense or NBA?
You know what I mean, defense.
Oh,
and neither is Pat Bev.
Yeah, I think Marcus Smart. He hasn't been. Is that for real?
I don't think so.
That's crazy.
Look it up.
Yeah, he did. He did last year.
What team?
First team.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of Pat Bev. My fault.
Yeah.
Pat Bev gets – no, Marcus Smart is such a good defender, dude.
Yeah. And Jaylen Brown said he was the best defender in the NBA, which, you know what? I think you can make a real argument for. I mean, he guards fucking centers sometimes. It's crazy.
And love to PJ Tucker, who guards centers. It's fucking people don't even realize he's 6'5".
I know. You know what's wild is that the Raptors, when they still had DeMar DeRozan, traded for PJ, and they were like, he's going to guard LeBron. This is like our secret weapon. And it's kind of crazy that, think about if the Raptors had PJ Tucker too, like how good that defense could be and how valuable he would be.
Yeah.
But he just washed out. I think they were just desperately looking for like a solution to guarding LeBron, and there was no solution back then.
No.
But anyway, a lot of great basketball, a lot of great games, and like we said, a lot of games to look forward to. Just today, that 8th seed is so. The Rockets Spurs play today. The Blazers Mavs play today at 6:30. Huge game. Suns play the Sixers. I mean, from 2 to 6:30. It's fucking great basketball that means something. Yeah. Even the Celtics playing the Grizzlies means something.
Yeah.
Pelicans, how hilarious is this? The 9 o'clock TNT game is Pelicans Kings. They thought the Pels were gonna be fighting for that 8th seed.
I thought they were gonna be playing for it. I really thought with like Drew Holiday and Redick and those veterans, I thought it would be enough and favors, but it's just not enough.
You know what's crazy? Why don't they flex when they should be able to flex these games?
I don't get it.
Like put Suns Sixers in the 9. That's more exciting than Pels Kings. Put Rockets Spurs.
Well, especially because the Suns, people just assume they shouldn't even have been there, but they've been so exciting. They're
the story, one of the top stories of the
And a quick mention, since we didn't, but as we're wrapping up, is the TJ Warren, Jimmy Butler.
Oh yes,
game. Yes. Very anticlimactic.
That's how much has happened. Yeah.
But Butler really did get the best of him, and a lot of it is, as we were saying, double teams. But it looked like Warren was kind of stagnant. I mean, their offense doesn't really move a lot. He's just kind of camped out in the corner.
Yeah, and I think it's clear Warren might be one of those guys that it's like when he catches you by surprise, he can go for 40. But when you're game planning, it's like, he's fucking, no offense. Jimmy might be right. They're not in the same league. When you put somebody like Jimmy on him, they're he had a bad game against the Suns too with Bridges on him. Bridges fucking locked him up.
Yeah. But also, they also don't have the weapons. Like Oladipo's not playing at that level quite yet. He has flashes. Brogdon is also coming off an injury.
True.
They don't have a lot of weapons right now, which I do think Warren is a really good player.
Warren has proven to be a good rotation, like a solid high-end rotation piece. But yeah, he's not the guy. When you have an elite defender on him, he's fucked, especially when there's no other options. But they were playing him like a fucking star. But yeah. A lot of great games. Watch the race for the fucking 8th seed. Let's go Blazers, baby. Just watch out for that. So, and even I don't know. I mean, can the Clippers fall to 3? A lot. I mean, the whole playoffs is, it's crazy. So we'll be back with our Patreon wrapping up the regular season.
Patreon.com/poddon'tlie. Subscribe to that if you haven't already. We're bringing it with all these episodes have been killer, and also rate and review us on iTunes.
Yes, please do. And so Friday we will be back wrapping up everything that happened, doing a mini playoff preview. We'll do a bigger one, obviously on the free episode on next Tuesday, but Friday we'll wrap up everything we were just talking about today. We previewed, and yeah, man, enjoy the hoops, guys. Honestly, I'm gonna miss these seeding games, man. This is a beautiful time in my life.
But I'm also so pumped for the playoffs.
Hugely pumped. Yeah, it's gonna be great. So thank you guys for listening. We will talk to you soon. See you then. See you Friday on Patreon. Bye, guys.
Bye.